It's possible that Japan will print 1 billion yen and buy 1 billion Bitcoin. The smart thing to do would be to print 20 billion yen and buy 20 billion Bitcoin. When the news came out, Bitcoin would go up 3 times. They would have $60 billion in bank assets that would grow in value by 30% a year. And in the end, their balance of payments would be $20 billion in the black. And it turns into a prophetic statement. BlackRock told the world last week that they would start buying Bitcoin every month. A lot of Bitcoin miners have added to the value of Bitcoin. Of those, a lot of them are mining Bitcoin right now instead of selling it. There will likely be more Bitcoin miners who buy more. There will likely be more Bitcoin trades. Michael Saylor, executive chairman and co-founder of MicroStrategy, talked about what he thinks will be the next step in the acceptance of Bitcoin, which is the largest cryptocurrency in the world by market cap. Saylor recently talked to Guy Adhami of CNBC about what he thinks could make the price of Bitcoin go up. The boss of MicroStrategy says that the world economy is at a turning point. The Institute of International Finance says that the world's debt rose by about $1.3 trillion in the first quarter of 2024, reaching a new high of $315 trillion. The IF said that more than half of the rise came from mature countries, like the US, France, and Germany. The world debt to GDP ratio has been steadily going down over the past year and is now above 300%. This is because debt is rising and productivity is going down. Saylor says that the world's economy is going through an irreversible change that will require investors from sovereign wealth nations to multi-billion-dollar companies to change the way they spend right away. Saylor is sure that this change will be good for Bitcoin and very bullish for it, as it will lead to more people using it and big price gains. Here are some clips from Saylor's conversation with Adhami. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel and set your alerts for more videos like this. Glad you watched and have fun with the movie. They're not going to listen to me, but the winner is the first country that can print money and buy Bitcoin. It's possible for a medium-sized country to do it, but they'd have to be tough. To go back to the company, a share of stock is like the cash of a country, right? A country can print money. As a side note, El Salvador isn't quite the same because they don't have their own currency. And that's it. The first country to print its own money and buy Bitcoin wins. You need to be able to print $10 billion of your currency and trade it for $10 billion of Bitcoin. Bitcoin should grow by 30% every year. Okay, so that's how a bank reserve asset should work, right? If you do that, everyone will rush into it with you. It was worth $600 million for MicroStrategy, and we had $600 million in cash. We had no growth, we're dead money, and we're moving $2 million a day in the stock market. That's the same as the Russell 2000. Or let's use the Russell 1000 to talk about the worst companies in the Russell 1000. That's how they all are. All of them are $25 million to $100 billion companies with market caps of $100 million to $1 billion to $1 billion. Every day, they all trade between $1 million and $20 million. All of them have slow growth. You can't grow like Microsoft if you're not Nvidia, Apple, or the Magnificent Seven. We chose that Russell 2000 small cap company. We bought Bitcoin with our cash. The Bitcoin we bought was worth $250 million. That was put on the wire. People who owned shares changed hands. We bought more Bitcoin worth $175 million. The stock went up 200%. All of our workers used some of their stock options. A lot more Bitcoin was bought. The stock went up again. We sold a bond that could be changed into cash. A lot more Bitcoin was bought. The stock went up once more. Bitcoin went up again. The stock price went up 10 times, the market cap went up 20 times, and the business value went up 40 times. So fast forward 44 months. It went from about $600 million to around $25 billion. And so what did we do? We were either giving away our money, which was stock, to buy Bitcoin, or we were borrowing against our stock to buy Bitcoin. I would tell a sovereign fund to start buying Bitcoin as a form of digital wealth. If you're a small to medium-sized country that can print its own currency, I would tell an aggressive small country to either print the currency to buy Bitcoin or issue sovereign debt and quickly swap it into Bitcoin. It's cheap to borrow money, and Bitcoin will pay you back at least 24%. It's clear, but I'm not going to hold my breath about countries since it's a very political matter. I think that the clear winners are the shareholders, officers, and directors of the 10,000 small to medium-sized businesses, especially publicly traded businesses, which can't really do better than the Magnificent Seven. Maybe they're listening to this show. If you have money and don't think you can do better than Google, Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia, you can either take the cash and buy Bitcoin, issue equity and buy Bitcoin, or issue debt, either senior debt, either senior debt or even better, convertible debt that can be converted to your equity and buy Bitcoin. This lets you recapitalize with an asset that is appreciating instead of decapitalizing and having nothing or holding capital in an asset that is depreciating and has a negative real yield and burning shareholder value. Block Incorporated CEO Jack Dorsey said earlier this month that the fintech giant would buy Bitcoin every month to keep its books in order. Dorsey, who used to be the CEO of Twitter, posted a paper called Bitcoin Blueprint for corporate balance sheets on the social media site. The document says that Block is announcing a new corporate balance sheet dollar cost average (DCA) program in which it will invest 10% of its monthly gross profit from Bitcoin products into Bitcoin every month. The program's title is Block is dollar cost averaging Bitcoin every month. The business also told everyone what Bitcoin it currently owns, including the amounts it bought in 2020 and 2021. The document says that as of March 31, 2024, Block had 8,038 Bitcoin, which is about 9% of its total cash equivalents, and marketable assets. When Saylor talks to Atomy, he says that Block will be the first company to do this in the years to come, as more signs of trouble appear in the world economy. We need to go back to the interview. By a lot of Bitcoin miners, many of them don't sell as much Bitcoin as they mine right now. There will likely be more Bitcoin miners who buy more. There will likely be more Bitcoin platforms that buy more. As you can see, the number of current ETFs is growing. There are now 22 spot ETFs in the world, and they're all competing with each other in the market, so they'll work harder. You will see these Russell 1000 companies at some point. Which one of them wants to get up from being a zombie? The only thing left is for someone to decide they want the money. I believe that when they do that, the price of Bitcoin goes up, and I have to go after it. It was less than 10,000 Bitcoins when I bought them for the first time, and it's now in the 60s. Okay, that's fine. I have no idea where we'll end up. We'll get more, I'm sure. From here we'll add on. We are going to buy more Bitcoin than we have now. We will do this with a mix of cash, debt, especially convertible debt, and stock. That will depend on the capital markets and a lot of other factors. Archimedes said, "If you give me a long enough lever and a place to stand, I can move the world. Blockchain is where you should be. There isn't enough of it, so it's not a commodity. If there isn't enough of something, it's like telling you about one city that's a trade hub for the whole world. There is a lot of business going on there. That city is only 276 blocks long, 276 blocks wide, and 276 blocks high. But one day, every country will be moving their capital through that city. Also, about 94% of those blocks are taken, but you can still buy another one if you want to. Would you like to buy more? Yes, I want to keep buying because, well, this is a great one for big places like New York because it not only shows how much the asset is worth, but also lets you know if it's too late to buy something. One time, the CEO of MicroStrategy talked about how New York was the biggest city in North America by 1776, more than 100 years after Dutch colonists first settled there in 1624. In 1776, if you wanted to buy land in New York, you probably thought you were late to the party and those who got in early were very lucky. Still, for hundreds of years, people have kept putting money into the city and made good returns. Saylor thinks the same will happen with Bitcoin. Some people bought when